All righty. Thank you so much, Chongor, for joining me. Guys, for those watching, I want to introduce this amazing gentleman. Right with me is Chongor Daniel, one of the foremost bioenergy healers and teachers in the world. Right, he learned this art while he was an engineering student in the former Yugoslavia in the 1980s, and continued practicing and teaching to this day through many international seminars, 3 published books. That's impressive. And lately, a full online course. Chongor is a master of distant healing, with most of his clients miles or even continents away. He believes that everything about us is connected in our energy field. Then again, everything is energy. The secret to perfect health is openly hidden in this energy, and Chongor will teach you how to find it. And Chongor, man, how the heck are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm
Hey,
I'm
my pleasure.
awesome as always.
And so, 1980s, Yugoslavia in the 80s. That's, you know, I can't imagine that was the easiest time. Can you maybe take us through a little bit of, how you started that? Right, you're in engineering, you're in a very scientific field, and then mysticism creeps up on you.
Well, I mean, the 80s were a good time for us. You know, that we were teenagers and growing up. I think it's a good time in everybody's life, although full of conflicts and maybe a little bit of alienation nowadays with the advancement of technology. We didn't have any of that. We needed a book. We had to go to the library. We needed conversation. Most of us didn't even have phones at the beginning of the 80s. So, it was a very social life. And we did travel a lot and kind of careless times, maybe because of our ages at the time, not just because of the times. But we witnessed a lot of changes. You know, the Berlin Wall went down in our young lifetime, and just everything opened up. The energy at the time was still unknown. Nobody talked about it. You know, a little bit in Eastern philosophy, a little bit in yoga, but we were pretty analytical. I liked logic. I studied engineering for that reason. My dad was a chemist. My uncle was a mechanical engineer. But then my mom was an artist and my grandfather
Oh,
was an artist. So
interesting.
I kind of fell in the middle and I got a little bit of both, a little bit of yin, a little bit of yang.
Yep.
And I remember clearly when my grandfather jokingly told me, and I was maybe 4 or 5, but it stayed in my memory. His leg was broken. And he says, well, when you grow up, you're going to be a doctor and you will fix me. And I said something stupid, whatever a child would say, like, yeah, I'm just going to kick you and make it feel better or so. And I never really thought of medicine as my future or anything like it. I liked the mechanical stuff. In my teens, I had bicycles, I got into mopeds, motorcycles, and so on. So that was my life. It was good times. We were out every night, every corner had a pub. It just, the whole country was like that. It was really, really a nice era that I can remember. Then about midway through college, I I was introduced to something totally different. You know, my dad's friend was visiting and he was talking about this energy.
Mhm.
And my dad was kind of laughing it off, more or less. We were
Like a
both
good
in
scientist.
that, yes. And it was a good friend from childhood, and they were joking around. But then I joined them. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he showed me how to feel the energy. And I was like, wait a second, I felt this my whole life. I just never thought of it as energy. It was something was there, but nobody ever showed it to me that, hey, this is it.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit interested in it. I was able to stop some pain with it and such. But the big change came, this was way the end of 80s. I was already in college, the things were moving in the direction of a different life.
Hmm.
You'll finish college, get a job, whatnot. So my mom had a backache that day, and I tried my skills on her. I was still very new at it. I just, I felt the energy. I kind of learned how to manipulate it a little bit. I figured that when there was too much energy, it was associated with pain. And so in my mind, I tried to pull that energy out. Again, I still wasn't sure what I was doing, but
Sure.
I kind of tried to drag this energy out. And as I pulled my hand back, my mom started moving back. So then I push my hand forward, my mom goes forward. And then again, I pull it back. Like, holy crap, mom, what are you doing? And she says, nothing, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I mean, so back and forth like that, we freaked out. And this is a pretty favorite story of mine. Everybody has heard it by now. And most of my friends knew it from day one. Because what do I do with that knowledge, with this skill, or with this, whatever this was? I went to the pub, told my friends.
Oh, yeah, perfect. I love it.
That was exactly their reaction. Yeah, right, whatever. So they were lining up in the pub, and I was trying to push them, pull them, manipulate them. And most of them I was able to do. I mean, by the end of the night, the entire pub was into it. We were betting in beer, who's going to move, who's not, and such.
Oh, it's so
And
funny.
years later, I did a demonstration at this was a small Tai Chi conference, and I lined up 100 people, and I pulled them back from 30 feet away. Not like with a rope, but
Sure.
you make them go back enough to make a step, otherwise they will fall back. So it was actually, it was before the times of the cell phones, so I don't think I even have a recording of that one. I have some others later on, but that one was a big step in showing what the energy is capable of doing. Now, my ego was tickled.
I bet.
I saw this guy on TV maybe 2 weeks later. It was in the evening news. They showed all these people waiting in line on this small Adriatic island, all to see this guy who was this great healer that I never heard of. Nobody heard of him, but all of a sudden he was in the news. Of course, he was around already for years. I just didn't know about it. Thousands of people would flock to see him, and then they showed him in action. And there he was, moving people, bending them, doing stuff without touching them, from several feet away. So it blew my mind, like, holy crap. So there's somebody else who can do it. Well, maybe he can explain how this is working.
Ooh.
So again, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I tried to get in touch with him. In the meantime, I read a study about him, then some articles. He was the first one in the country to show the existence of this energy in front of a panel of doctors and lawyers and whatnot. He healed gangrene at the time.
Wow.
Yes.
Impressive.
So that was the study. They had 30 people with gangrene, and they gave them to him. Some of them were waiting for amputation already. At the end, none of them had it. I think it was only a 3-week study. Now, 3 weeks to change from black to human skin color. They showed it daily in the newspaper and such. Anyway, by the time I heard about him, and by the time I got in touch with somebody on that island, he was already gone. Where did he go? I don't know. No Google at the time. Okay, this is end of 80s. All I knew, he was gone somewhere. Then a good friend of mine, who lived in my neighborhood, and he was one of my first, probably my first experiment with the energy. He came over with a newspaper article about a professor in Belgrade who was measuring the energy fields and who can tell you, I don't know, tell you something. So I was able to get in, and after a weekend of tests, they kind of measure everything in your body, what you can measure in the radio or a TV. You have amps, ohms, volts. But after measuring thousands of people, he could conclude who are suited to be healers, who are not. At least that was the theory at the time. It was wrong, but at the time, it felt good.
Sure.
It felt good to my ego when he pulled me over, like, hey, you were born to be a healer. Great, sign me up. Nobody's teaching it. Nobody heard of it. I haven't seen any college classes that teach energy healing.
Right.
He says, don't worry about it. I have the guy for you. And we drove outside of Belgrade and went to a hotel where he introduced me to the guy I was looking for.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
And I get goosebumps every time. His name is Denko Domancic. Don't even try to pronounce his name. He's Croatian.
Mhm.
He developed his system of energy healing, and probably the most powerful on the planet at the moment. And eventually he opened it to the masses. So I learned from him at the time, and I went back and I finished college for my parents' sake, pretty much, and started doing the healing. And the first month I had about 30 patients altogether. 2 months later, I had that many a day.
Dang.
It's a very fast method, and the more people around you, the more energy circulates. So actually doing group sessions were more effective than one-on-one. But in essence, that's what it just exploded in my brain, or I don't know how to explain it, but it changed the course of my life. And when you stop somebody's pain that they had for many years, or make tumors disappear, or make somebody feel better, already after the first one, you're hooked. I have hundreds or thousands behind now, and it's almost like a drug. But eventually I found out that it is kind of like a drug. I have to explain the theory of what this is, so you would understand where this energy comes from and what it incorporates, and how we can influence how it influences everything about us. Modern medicine tends to look at the body as a physical entity. Then there's another branch that looks at it from the mental, emotional point. But it's rare where everything comes together. And in essence, you are not a robot, and you are not just a spiritual being. You are a complete electromagnetic being that incorporates all the aspects of your being. So one can influence the other. Just like when you have a little bit of pain and you look at a good comedy and you forget about it, or it makes you feel better. Or you're a little bit down emotionally and you go to the gym and you lift, or you go for a run, or whatever makes you feel, physically active, it will influence your emotion as well, to a certain degree.
Sure. The endorphins being
So
released, throughout your
yes,
body and stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
Now, I have to explain from the beginning then what we are, what my point of view is, and maybe some of it will stick on you as well. So let's examine the human body from the physical point of view first. It looks kind of solid, right? Flexible, but solid. Now, deep inside, we know that about 70% of this is water.
Yep.
Give or take, age and everything, right? So if I start jumping here, obviously you won't hear that water splashing around, right? Because it's contained in trillions of cells.
Yep.
Now let's take one cell, look at one cell. It would be, and you probably saw it under a microscope somewhere in school, you took the onion peel and look at the cell. Now, in reality, this cell is basically a balloon filled with water and some spongy stuff, and many other minerals and so on and so forth. If you go deep inside that one cell, you will find molecules, right? Let's say we have a very special microscope and we can just go step by step.
Yep.
Now, from this water, we separate the molecules. We have hydrogen and oxygen molecules. These molecules, now if let's imagine them being lighter. Now we're gaseous, right? Now we go inside one of those molecules and we'll look at the atomic structure. This is where everything kind of makes sense to a degree. If you never had physics in school, you can compare the atomic structure to the solar system. Most people know that the sun is in the middle and planets travel around it on certain distances. And they don't go away, they stay in their own little circle, right? Now, the distance between them is huge, it's humongous. It's not like on the teacher's desk, not that model where you have the sun and then planets on wires. If you could, let's say, get the sun to the side of a marble, okay, just a little marble. Pluto would be a couple miles away and would be the size of a bacteria, yet it stays together, right? Now, the atomic structure is also very tight, and it depends on the elements. You know, it has so many planets or electrons, yeah, on so many levels and so on and so forth. But let's look at the size. Let's magnify the nucleus, the middle of the atom, to be the size of a pinhead, okay? Or let's say, again, a marble. You stick it in the middle of a stadium. The closest electron would be outside the stadium to compare the sizes, you know.
The field of possibility of which the electron can manifest itself.
Yes. So this electron doesn't go as slow around like the planets around the sun. This one is much friskier. This would cover that entire area in any moment. It could be anywhere. So if we could see it with naked eye, we would see a giant ball. You know, like when you take a pendulum and spin it around, you see a circle. Here you would see a giant ball the size of the stadium because the electron is so fast. But deep inside, there's nothing, just that tiny little marble of nucleus, which carries all the weight. And the entire stadium is 99.9999999% empty space.
Yep.
Now you take another one of those, and another one, and another one, and a gazillion of those, and here you are, thinking you're solid, but deep inside, this is 99.999999999 empty space.
Well, and then even Einstein's mentor, Max Planck, right, who came up with Planck time, right? He said everything is consciousness, right? And this is where Niels Bohr comes, you know, and these you know, people who really, you know, founded our understanding of quantum mechanics and quantum physics. And, you know, even Einstein is famously quoted for, you know, you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness as it was created. And
right.
And it's so interesting to see how these pioneers, right, even Schrodinger, right, Erwin Schrodinger, these pioneers in, you know, quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and yet now we're just like, oh, well, look at that, look at this quaint idea. It's like, man, these guys have been playing with mysticism, right? Scientists have been playing with mysticism for hundreds of years, and we're only just now being able to verify and validate what mystics have been saying for thousands of years with energy, which is quite
well, I mean, we're evolving slowly. A lot of things are evolving. Some are not, but in essence, if you look at just the Industrial Revolution of how small a percentage of it is compared to the lifetime of the humankind, and how much we have done in such a short time, and how much we have undone in such a short time. For those who haven't seen The Matrix, see the movie.
Yeah, who's got two thumbs and is a giant Matrix nerd? This guy right here.
Now you may deeply think about it and just replace the machines with something else. And it's quite believable. I mean, right now, kids are playing on the computer, building cities and characters and and people, and one day it will be 3D and you're going to be in it. Well, actually, it's already there. What am I saying, right?
Yeah, VR.
So it's not hard to understand that everything is energy. Now, within this energy, we comprehend very little. Like a dog is unable to see the rainbow, doesn't pick up those frequencies. We do, but he picks up other things that we don't. So if all the frequencies everywhere go from here to here, everything, we are like a one little speck that we actually comprehend, or that comes through us and we notice it. Through your eyes, when your brain well, when your eyes are open, your brain takes over like 80%.
Yeah.
You need a lot. Now you get millions of information coming into your eyes right now, and you're picking up only a few thousand.
Yep.
And most of it is not registered. You know what you're taking, paying attention to me right now, this moving, some frequencies are coming out, but everything around me is also coming to your eyes. You're just not registering it as too much.
The reticular activating system is like, nah, I don't need to care about this.
Right. So let's go back to the energetic body. Every cell, every atom has an electromagnetic field around it. This electron creates it, and all together, you put it all in this body, full of cells, full of atoms, full of electrons. It creates an electromagnetic field around. It goes roughly as far as you can reach. Now, in high power lines, we know that, well, any wire with electricity in it will have an electromagnetic field around it. You can mathematically account for it, which way the electricity goes, which way the magnetic fields go, and so on and so forth. Same goes for the body. Now, a healthy body will have an energy field that goes roughly as far as you can reach in all directions, almost like an egg shape around you. Think of the spaceship Enterprise, with their force field around. That's the function of your energy field. Okay, it keeps, it's like a force field that's almost like your immune system, and an energetic immune system around you. Now, this field changes all the time. Everything is surrounded by this energy, not just us. Every living being, every inanimate matter is made of atoms, right? Now, this desk that I'm sitting by will have the same energy forever until I burn it or somehow chemically change it like that. Living beings' energy changes constantly. Your energy, let's say, of the highest evolved species may change the most. Now, what influences this energy? Everything.
The water we drink, the food we eat, right? The chicken that was not me, I ate it. And now it
Since
becomes a part of me.
everything is energy, everything will influence this energy.
Yeah.
Now, certain things influence it more than others. Obviously, you have to keep breathing, right? You can't stop breathing. It will influence your energy. Drinking, number 2 things you can't live without is water. It depends what kind of water you put in your body. We can talk about that for days, but let's say we go with the chemistry here and apply what our body's chemistry is, the 7.365 pH. You want to keep your drinks and your food intake on the alkaline side. Not fully, that's also crazy. Everything has a balance. Too much water will kill you, just like anything else.
Yep.
So food, same thing. Go for the alkaline, go for the organic. Go, the best is if you go in your garden and pick it. If you can, do what you can. We can talk about food also for
especially like things like fulvic minerals that you just aren't going to get from any sort of large monocultured farm, because any of the plant matter. And for those who don't know what fulvic minerals are, From my understanding, it's really just the plant matter that decays and goes back into the soil, and then the plants reuptake that. So when you eat that, then you're getting the fulvic minerals. But since these large farms will actually pull all that decaying matter off, well, then the soil then gets depleted, which is where really what leads us to today, where one single orange is about 1/8 of the amount of nutrients as an orange from about 60 years ago.
Yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
60 years ago, there were 3.5 billion people on the planet. When I was in elementary school, we learned at 4.5 billion. We had to memorize it at the time.
Wow.
So in my lifetime, it has already doubled. I mean, so there are different solutions that we have to look for.
Mhm.
We cannot continue the same way, just taking and taking and taking. There's not much left in the oceans either. But for argument's sake, what does it cost for every person on the planet to plant 1 tree a year? For our sake, for extra air, I mean, we can go into these things too far, way too far, and get lost. But what can I do by myself? And that's the question that I would ask myself, just like my questions of what can I do for my health?
Mhm.
I shouldn't ask my doctor or anybody else what is the best for me when I should know it from day one. Who knows my body better than me, or my mind, or everything about me?
Yep.
So this is not something they teach in school. It's such a system, but wouldn't it be nice if every school would have daily meditation, some kind of a yoga? There's not enough physical education. So these are the things that if I don't see in school and I can't make the change, then I do it with my kids at home. Again, there are some things that I can change at home. I don't throw trash around my house, then maybe I don't throw trash elsewhere. These are simple solutions.
As above, so below. Yeah. As below, so
Yes,
above.
and
Yeah. I like that.
the everybody around, we're all nervous, especially since COVID was around. Stress was at the highest level I've ever seen.
Yep.
I do a lot of long distance healing where I visualize my clients, I'm in a deep meditation, and instead of feeling the energy, I look for it. I've never seen so many people with stress as the last 3 years or so, 2 years. It was amazing, like an epidemic. I was trying to figure out what I was seeing. What is this new thing? There are always new things. Every day you see something new in this line of business. But when you see something that everybody has all of a sudden. So our nature is loving. We're not savages. It's a wrong description of the human kind, or the human nature.
We can be trained to be savages, but you're right. Our nature is not.
Well, we have some anxiety issues, and we have some other issues that we learned along the way. Our closest relatives, the chimpanzees in I guess south of the Congo River, I think it's Bonobo, the
Yeah,
Bonobo,
bonobos. Yeah.
or Bonobo, or something like that.
Hmm.
Anyway, they show us how loving they are. They take care of other children, actually, like a whole tribal system. And other tribes get together sometimes hundreds of them, to sleep together in the same area, yet nobody's fighting. How is that possible? And here we are, uh, millions of years ahead, or such, and we're fighting each other, and deep inside we want to love, we want to hug, we want to have those basic instincts. Now, when those are kind of taken away or pushed away or not provided, then other anxieties and other issues happen. I I ended up in the United States in 1991 when I was here on vacation when the war started in Yugoslavia. So I was advised to stay a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit
Yeah.
longer. And I'm still here. The back in 99, I started going back to Europe to teach. And I went to Scotland, I taught in Denmark, I went to cool places and taught a lot of people. And then a documentary crew got in touch with the lady who organized my Danish seminar. And she said, hey, we would like to interview you. We're doing a documentary about your teacher. Oh, great. I don't even know where he is. You know, it was so everybody was lost after the war. So it turned out that he was in Slovenia teaching at the time. And through this crew, I got to get in touch with him. And
Oh, nice.
I went, saw him basically after 16 years for the first time. And he taught me the newest way of his healing, the new method, which was amazing. He systematized the healing so anybody can learn it. Now, I knew that already because I was already teaching everybody for many years, just realizing through teaching Tai Chi that you cannot teach it without teaching the energy. And then I realized that, gee, all these ladies, you know, in my class, they're in their 60s and 70s. I was able to teach all of them to feel the energy and to see the energy. And that's when I realized that, heck, everybody can do this. It's like riding the bicycle. Some people may be faster at it, but anybody can learn to ride a bike, right?
Yeah.
Now, back in 2006, my teacher said, you know, the reason for all illness is stress. And I was like,
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's even spelled dis-ease, right?
But I was thinking, well, you know, stress, but I mean, there's food, there's laziness, there's gonna be other things. And many years later, through this incident of you know, the COVID and the stress and stuff, it's where I realized how much influence stress has on the entire body and how there's a lot more to it than we give credit to it. The amount of energy that changes within moments of stress is tremendous. So we're going down, you know, air, water, food, what influences you. We know electromagnetic fields because we're electromagnetic in nature. So of course, now I'm sitting by a computer, which is spewing electricity at me.
Yep.
In the walls, Wi-Fi, and so on and so forth.
Artificial light. Yeah.
Yes, so these are frequencies that are not normal for you. Your body's fighting them off. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, these won't kill you right away. Just like there are people who, you know, drink soft drinks all day long, and they're still alive somehow. You know, the human body is resilient. So we'll get used to this as well. But you have to go, you know, always a step farther. Now, we have to somehow learn to dismiss this electricity, or learn how to fight it, or learn how to live without it, or learn how to get our energy to a point where it's fine with it, or resists it to a point where, you know, you're in your bubble the whole time.
That egg kind of reflects it.
Yes. Now, of course, that's impossible to do because things happen all the time, stress and whatnot. Which brings us to the other influence on us. I mean, there are also cosmic rays, geopathic zones, many other things to a lesser intent than humans, which are also electromagnetic. They also have a field, so that influences us as well, right? And the biggest influence on you, on your energy, is right here,
The mind. Yep.
the mind.
Well, and what's so interesting with that point there, and then also with your, with your master saying that stress is the cause of, right, all, bodily, all disease, basically. You think here in America, it's so common for people to fetishize the idea that they're their own worst enemy, or that they
Right.
are their own worst critic. And the problem with that is the worst critic or the worst enemy is not there somebody to help you out. That's somebody that's there to kneecap you and hit you in the knee with a hammer before you're ready to go run a race. And that is not your friend. And so if that's what lives inside our heads and we're directing all that energy inside, well, doesn't it kind of make sense that the body and the mind kind of start falling apart?
Yes, absolutely. It created conflict. It's like the dualism that we see everywhere, unfortunately. So that brings us to us. What can we do, to create a different environment for us? Obviously, a loving, positive environment will make your energy warmer, larger, and so on and so forth. You have to love yourself too, not just others. Heck, without loving yourself, you can't really love anybody else. If you
Well,
don't
and
take,
then
if you don't take care of yourself, I ask people, what is the most
Mhm.
important thing in your life? And they would go, oh, well, my grandkids, my, kids, my dog, my whatever. None of that can be sustained unless you are healthy. You can only be healthy if you're happy. It's like a catch-22, and then you can take care of your dog and grandkids and make everybody else happy. So you have to start with us. And there's a lot of, well, unhappiness out there.
Yeah, put the oxygen mask on yourself before you place it on somebody else. And in
Yes.
fact, I think that while I'm not the biggest fan of the Bible, I think there's a lot of wisdom there. And the idea of, that was spoken of Jesus as, judge not lest ye be judged. I don't think he was referring to other people judging you. I think he's saying that when you're judging somebody else, that you can't judge somebody else without judging from within first. And that judgment creates that stress creates entropy then just starts breaking down the system as
It's
it is.
all like a big magnet. We're
Yeah.
all magnets, and it just you create the magnetic reaction. Somebody yells at you and throws in obscenities. What are
Yeah,
you
flips you off on
doing?
the freeway or something. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do? What's your basic reaction? Nowadays it is like, oh no, you too, or it's the
Uh,
magnet.
yeah.
But when you come to somebody with a smile, what
Mm,
it's also a magnet.
yep.
They most people will smile back. So
In
I
fact, if you
come
wave
with,
at people that you don't know, they're almost compelled to wave back.
yes. And now when you're in a conflict on the road or on the street, or you're waiting in line, why not imagine this person could be your grandma in front of you,
Yep.
or that's your nephew over there or so, because I mean, we're all related. So it's just a big family all of a sudden. And so everybody wants their share instead of still sharing everything. I'm talking more tribal than communism. That doesn't work either,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, that's I I I imagine at some level in life that consciousness can raise to such a degree that you can actually have the benevolent despot that Plato writes about. But at our current level of consciousness, I don't think it's possible to have a benevolent despot. A despot always turns tyrannical.
Right now, well, who knows? There are gems everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a sheep mentality maybe, but there are a lot of sheepdogs still. There's a lot of possibilities for the human kind to I don't know, get back on track or so.
Well, and then those who are experiencing, pain, I think, that idea of get back on track, do you feel that pain in the body is a way for the body to inform the mind, hey, you're off track. There's something that's not healthy. There's something that you need to address.
Well,
And
it's either way. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, I was just going to say, and do you have any advice for people who are feeling that and they sense, maybe they meditate and they can tune into that pain? Do you have any words of wisdom to help them start to extract the meaning out of that pain in order for them to
Let's
find a way through it?
okay, let's do a couple physical things first. How we can stop pain physically with this energy. Okay. Let's learn to feel the energy first. It will take a couple minutes. All right, put your arms out straight like this. So your hands, your fingers are relaxed, right? Now, if you lift them up straight, you feel a little bit of tension in your fingers, right?
Mhm.
Now, with this tension, hold an imaginary basketball in front of you. Relax the elbows, let them hang, and concentrate on a basketball-sized ball. When you think you have it, press your palms closer by an inch, then let them back. And you can even speed it up a little bit. And tell me what you feel.
Yeah, I can feel the tingling in my fingertips, maybe down to the bottom knuckle, and I can feel it in the center of my palms.
Okay. Now, let's try maybe this way, like a little bit longer move back and forth.
Yeah.
Have you ever played with magnets?
Yes.
And there's that feeling of you want to push and it wouldn't go,
Mhm.
right? The warmth, the heat, that's also part of the feeling. Now stop about an inch away, make your hands flat, fingers straight. You'll feel a little bit more of that heat at this point. And also if you move your fingers just a little bit, just a tiny bit like this, you'll feel as if your knuckles needed lubrication, right?
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
bit squeaky.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is all, when you tighten up your hands just like that, just a little bit, you open the energy gates of your hand. So you're actually sending energy. Let's say your friend has I don't know, bum shoulder. You just go there, hey buddy, how are you? And you just lay your hand on it. It will give off a little bit of warmth, maybe feel good, your buddy. But as soon as you tighten up that hand, you let your energy come out into that shoulder or wherever you do it. And you're already helping your friend more than just a touch. So the
Mm.
energy is flowing. Now, let's try this. Again, establish that the feeling. And right when you're at the middle, you can start rolling your hands like this. You'll find the center of that rotation as if your hand wanted to go a certain path. Again, like playing with two magnets. Now, if you stop for a moment and pull your hands apart slowly, there's a resistance to that, right? Like
Yeah.
your
They
hands
definitely
want to
feel
go
squeaky.
back.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
feel really squeaky and they want to.
And they want to come back. That's because there's also magnets on the outside. So
Mhm.
it's everywhere around you. Now, with this same, let's try this again. Grab the ball, bring it to your face. Now you may feel the heat of your face in your hands, or you may feel the heat of your hand in your face. Now do these movements as if you were washing your face. You can feel where your hands are, right?
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, if you ever have a headache, all you do is go around your head like this, pull your hands down and shake them off.
Interesting.
And again, you would keep doing that like this. Think of this energy like a jello, and it's all around you. Now you want to take off where there's too much jello, it's usually associated with pain. So if you have too much jello around your head, it comes off piece by piece. It sticks to your hands, you shake it off, and then you do it again. It normally takes me about 2 minutes to stop any headache, whether it's migraine or whatever, it doesn't matter. Most of my students can do it in 5 minutes. but anybody reading my book can do in, just about the same time. And you saw how long it took to learn to feel the energy. You can learn to see the energy and manipulate it as fast.
Mm.
So it's pretty cool. I thought of this. I tried many different methods. I've done a lot about nutrition, about exercise, about everything. And everything comes down to the same point of the energy. Everything has to be right in the energy. In the treatment, we also, after balancing it, we also make it move. We jumpstart the energy flow, which prevents the formation of new obstacles in the energy.
Mm.
So comes down to what I mentioned at the beginning, that it becomes almost like a drug. I realized that, well, after many years of doing this, I realized like, oh, somebody asked me, when was the last time I saw a doctor? Not as my patient, but that I went to a
Yep.
doctor.
Hmm.
So I traced it back to 1989. And I've been to orthopedic doctors to put me together. Thank God for them. I've been to dentists. I've been to, nothing ever happened as far as getting a cold or a flu or anything. It goes by my loving partner, my fiance, caught COVID last year. We were sleeping in the same bed, eating the same food, drinking from the same cup. She tested positive for a couple of weeks. I had nothing. I tried to get it. Travel easier or something
Yes,
with a
man.
certificate that I
Yeah.
had it.
Uh,
And I mean, she had maybe 6 hours of bad experience. After that, it was mostly just registered. But I think, not what I think, I realized it, that the more I worked on others, the more this energy was traveling through me.
mm.
It's not my energy that I give. I mean, it's everywhere. It's like the air. So, but it goes through you when you do these procedures. And each time I worked on somebody, the energy went through me, again, preventing the formation of these obstacles. So bottom line, even when I didn't have the right diet, or especially in my college years, I mean, I definitely wasn't eating right. We were out drinking beer and stuff. And nothing ever happened. And this realization just came to me now. I asked some of my students, like, hey, how's your health? You know, it's ever since I learned this, nothing ever happened to me. So here it is, I mean, bottom line is love and happiness, but everything is on the energetic level. You keep your
Mm.
energy happy, everything is happy.
Yeah. Man, I love that. I love that so much. And what a great gift, right, to give people this idea that they can practice and then try it out and actually feel. And I'm curious, something that I feel that I don't know who else feels it, is that when I first learned how to heal, I eventually started feeling pressure inside the center of my head. And the more I connected, the more that pressure built and the more it built. And if you've ever seen a model of the way that an gravity well is created by like a star, right? You'll see like the flat, substrate, and then you'll just see it just kind of drop down. And when I'm in really deep meditation, I'll almost feel like, wherever my, third eye is, I'll almost feel like it's pulling, and like my sinuses are too small.
Mm-hmm,
I'll feel my sinuses crack and pop, and I'll even feel them drain a bit, go down my throat, and I'll feel it almost pull down, and I'll feel my heart just like thumping in my neck. And it's that's how I can really tell that I'm connected to my energy powerfully. But I never really know what somebody else's experience is, right? When they're connecting. Do you feel similar things? Because I certainly felt that kind
mm-hmm.
of playing and sparking as I was washing my face as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, there's a physical manifestation to meditation, and obviously, if I work on people and they're physically better, that's a good evidence to that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you about that. I've have been doing this method for over 30 years, and always a little bit polishing it, but it's a collection of many different methods where I pulled out the best. For beginners, I would recommend the Silva method, because it just teaches you a practical meditation.
Hmm.
You're doing it for something, not just to relax.
Yeah, create that window, and then you start visualizing through that
Yes,
to manifest.
yes.
Yeah.
But at this point now, it takes me maybe 3 seconds to be in my meditative state and be somewhere totally different. So I don't necessarily feel the physical things like that anymore, because I don't really feel anything at that moment.
Mm.
So, however, I connect with the energy, and I see it, and I mean, sometimes I get messages that I most of the time don't even want to hear or see or such. My goal is still from my mechanical years. I'd like to see the physical explanation and the physical everything
Yeah.
around it. Still, to me, logic rules. But of course, at one point, everything makes sense. I have a simple philosophy. Everything happens for a reason. Okay, so whether it's a divine reason or uh, just a physical that you can explain in an everyday life, but there's always a reason. Number two, everything that happens has something positive in it. No matter what the negative event, there is something positive attached to it. Yin and yang, or quantum physics
Yeah.
proves it. So number three is just go with the flow.
Mm.
If you can't stop a train, you step out of its way. You choose your battles, but stay in that positive middle, in that loving, positive, healthy, happy middle, and
Yeah,
you
I
can
love that
take
so
on any
much.
task.
The idea of the train, because yeah, I love the philosophy of the Tao Te Ching. And there's that idea that if you give evil, right, if you imagine a train that's coming to barrel, down over you, if you give evil nothing to oppose, it'll go away on its own. Not because it's not there, but because, as you said, you can step out of its way. And man, this is,
Everything needs an opposite to exist.
yeah. Well, right? That's the
One doesn't exist without the other.
well, that's the
So there,
principle of
there.
polarity, right? From the
Well, if we just look
Kybalion.
at physics, it's we can look at it that way.
Yeah. Well, and
So
everything is just a matter of degrees different, right? If you look at even the poles of say hot and cold, right? If you look on a thermometer, where is it that it's no longer hot and it now becomes cold, right?
yes.
And how do you determine that, right? It's all completely subjective. And so the opposites are the exact same. It's just a difference of degrees. And I mean, I feel like you and I could talk for hours and hours and hours.
Probably.
And you also graced everyone with a wonderful gift, which is your bioenergy healing lecture. It's how to stop a headache quickly and naturally. So kind of what you did here, but a little bit longer form. And I encourage everyone to go and check that out, right? It's a great way for you to be able to start playing with his energy and learn more about Chongor. And if you like, what you see, you like what you hear, if this really resonates with you and makes sense, well, you're going to find that his website is there on the landing page here on this summit, and check him out, reach out to him, right? Let him know, hey man, I really love what you're saying. And maybe, hey, he's traveling the world to do these retreats. Hey, maybe you can be there too. And I'm wondering if, as we wrap up, do you maybe have any last words of wisdom that you could give to somebody who is suffering and they understand that there's something better to be had, but they're still maybe a little bit skeptical of energy healing?
Well, they can come to my site and check it out. There are a few free lectures that teach you how to feel the energy with more special effects, easier visualization. If they're really interested in learning, send me an email. I'll send you a 20% coupon, 20% off for the entire school. Also, you can learn the same from my books. They're on Amazon.com available. Oops.
It's a little glare
It-
that says bioenergy healing.
Yep,
Healing, is that right?
sorry. Yeah, bioenergy healing.
Perfect.
There
There
we
you
go.
go. Yep. That's
It
fantastic.
has a lot of QR codes in it. So with that, you take your cell phone, click on the code, and it will take you to videos. Trying to find one like that.
That's clever, man. That's really
Hmm.
clever. I like that a
So
lot. What a neat way to do that.
yeah, it's just some people. I mean, you try to explain everything in detail, but it's still difficult. I mean, we're talking about something you've never seen before,
Hmm.
and it's still around you, and you still, but it changes when you see a video, and I have a lot of videos on YouTube as well with explanations and some demonstrations and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Anybody can learn it. It's so nice when you're at home and if somebody's hurting, you don't have to look for an aspirin or such, but you go in and stop it without any pain or any effort. My kids have been doing that. My daughter was 2 years old when we first discovered that she could stop other people's pain. And another mind-blowing
And then
experience.
a little tear fell from your eye.
We actually wrote a children's book together when she was 9
That's awesome.
about that experience. Put it in a story, but it teaches kids how to feel and how to see the energy and also how to stop pain. All
What's the
through
name
a
of that
little
book?
story. The Girl with the Healing Hands.
Mm.
It was illustrated by my then 9-year-old daughter.
Aw,
She's an art teacher now. Big difference.
dude, that is so awesome. So taking after grandpa, huh? And your mom. And I guess
Yes,
you a little bit
yes,
too, but yeah.
yes. So there's always a little bit of healing, but they didn't become world-class healers or anything. They're just healers, like everybody should be. It's
Mhm.
the normal, thing. It's something hurts, mom comes and rubs it, or kisses it, and it feels better. And
Mm.
that's how we all want to feel.
Yeah. Dude, that's so
So
awesome. Dude, what a brilliant a brilliant interview here, man. I've really enjoyed this time. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak with us and share such a wealth of knowledge. And not only that, but practical, right? Practical ways to actually, test this out. Like, don't take my word for it. Don't take Chonger's word for it. Try it, right? Try
yeah,
it,
it's
right?
it's all
And go through
there.
the
Mhm.
exercise exactly, and try it and see. And if you don't feel it right away, because we were only doing it for a couple of minutes, in this interview, go check out his free gift and see if you can start, playing and feeling with that energy. And if you feel it, well, then I think that you understand logically the next thing to do is probably to reach out to him and see, see what maybe he has to
Great.
offer.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me
Hey,
and
my
giving
pleasure,
me the
man.
opportunity to
Yeah.
share this.
Absolutely. And I've really enjoyed my time with you today. I, love what you're doing. I love that you've been doing it for so long and you're bringing so much love and you're harmonizing your family, harmonizing yourself, and then, the idea of change yourself, you change the world. Well, I think that you have seen in your own life that that's exactly true, especially with as accomplished as you are and as much as you've traveled and helped people. So again, website will be on the landing page for this interview. Check him out, right? Check out what other resources he's got. And Chongor, hey, from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you so much for joining us. And man, I can't wait till next time we talk.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Peace.
my pleasure. Peace.